Good morning, everyone. Good evening for most of you. So great to see all of your faces. First things first, may we scan all of you. Beautiful. All right, let's walk up to the creator of all that is. Everybody, close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and gather all the energy from the bottom to your feet. Go through your space and see yourself in a beautiful ball of light. Take that ball up to the sky and the universe. A series of white lights, dark lights, and golden light, all the way up through that jelly-like substance and into that tingly white light. Let unconditional love fill every cell of your body. Once you're there, take a deep breath in and open your eyes. Today, we are talking about relying on each other or others and delegating. This is a really good subject because not all the time is it that easy to actually rely on other people.
Here's what happens most of the time, okay? You go up and you manifest. And you manifest for your divine timing, or you manifest for more success or more clients, more students, right? And you start to realize that there's a lot of stuff that you have to do in a day.
So if you're like, I want a business, I want to have a center, and all of a sudden you realize you have to have other people that can help you do all those things. It's not just you running the show, answering the phone, doing the emails, that stuff takes time.
So you go find a person, maybe even your best friend happens to be looking for work at the same time, and you go, I like my best friend. We get along well. Let's work together. So you bring your best friend in and you say, hey, write an email back to this person. And they send the email off because you trust them. You're like, hey, I trust you completely. And then a little bit later, the person they sent the email to sends you a message and says, I don't understand. And you read what they wrote. And then you look at it and go, why would they say it like that? And you go try to get them to have them say everything you want to say your way. And then before long, instead of having them write the email, they're proving the email to send to you to read the email and then make all the changes that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're doing all the work
Yourself.
because you want it to be done specific way.
In your verbatim and with your energy and without relying on other people. And now you've just taken away all that time that you wanted to have help by your best friend.
And all of a sudden, you have five best friends working for you, and you're still doing all the work because you don't want to lose them as best friends, but you don't like the way that they do things because it's not the exact same way that you do things. And even if they're not your best friend, even if they're just the employee, this is the number one reason any business, not just the healing business, any business struggles. They do little studies to find out why they struggle the most, and it has very little to do with finances. People think finances would be number one. It has to do with being able to trust and delegate. A lot of people don't have a hard time delegating or asking people what to do.
But then it's letting it go and let it be them with their energy and how they do it and trust that they can get it done without overseeing or helicoptering is what it's called, making sure everything's done right in their way of doing it.
So businesses start to fail because people don't know how to trust that those things can be done, and they keep doing them all the time, and their workload gets overwhelmed. And instead of doing the things that you bring, you're starting to try to do everything. And there's a million people start to message you. How are you going to keep up with a million messages? You have to have help.
Mhm.
You have to have circles of people that you trust. And there's classes about how to organize things and do things. But the same is true about our families. The same is true about our friendships. The same is true about our life. How do we trust people to be themselves? true abundance comes into our life, we are going to trust the people around us, but with discernment, with understanding, with knowing how and when.
And recognizing that they're going to do the best that they can with all the knowledge that they can and make it the best. And that's what you're asking for.
You're going to have successes, you're going to have failures, but to have either, you have to be able to open up the doors. Okay? Doors are a lot of perspective. And just this last week, as we kind of go through things, it's always fun when we have webinars because it's always an opportunity from the universe to see the things we're talking about. We're
Which is so
focused on,
true.
and that's the perspective of what's going on in your cells. And then as we're going through last week, you got the younger people, our nephews and Beckham teenagers, and then we got business people, the banks that we're talking to. We've had classes.
We've had people that we've relied on here to have this come together today.
You have to decide how your energy is going to be felt. You have to let your signature be there. People want your signature. So at the same time, you're energetically taking and actively participating in moments. But you have to take a look at the energy that you're putting into it and where that stress level is. Stress is the big one. All these things you hear illness wise, blood pressures, cancers, heart problems.
So many illnesses and diseases that just stress alone can cause in your body because you're overwhelmed and overdoing it all the time, trying to control every aspect of your life and not allowing other people to help you. We're a big group and family. We feel like we have a lot, a huge soul family, but the point is, everybody's here to help each other. Some people know more about one aspect or knowledge about a subject than another person. That's the point. Having trust in another person allows you to get the job done faster and better with a different perspective.
But the real interesting thing here is with all that coming together, most of the time the thing that people have that stresses them and causes fear is a lack of trust in the ability to communicate yourself. You don't trust that you've communicated very clearly your desires, that you've very clearly communicated the goal, and that something's going to happen to mess it up.
Which is okay. If that happens, then you just communicate again what it is that you're trying to relay. If it's not working and people are not understanding, then they're just try a different way.
So you pick up on all these different things and you understand that there's different life goals, and we start to segment out our life into sections of people that we let do different things. It's a very interesting concept, but within that segment, what we do is we start to only communicate or be a certain way in certain situations.
And with certain people.
So a large amount of us, if we're on our theta healing journey, or if you're going to be a teacher, or if you're a practitioner, or if you're new to everything that we're saying, what we tend to struggle with is we tend to, oh, I can communicate this much of myself to this moment, or I can communicate that much to myself at that moment. And we try to find places that we don't have to really explain why.
We expect people to understand us.
Our why completely all the time. If you care about me, then you understand my why entirely. Well, not really feasible considering they can't really be you. But if we dive further, it's not that we want to be understood most of the time. Most of the time, we're afraid that we're not going to be cared about to be understood, or that what we have to say isn't important enough to be listened to. There's these different fears that come in. So we tend to build relationships free from fear, but that doesn't mean we clear the fear and show and communicate these different things, it usually means we build them in a way that we can hide the fears. And delegating is one of those things where if we don't take a look at how a person's going to receive something, we can't use our intuition and our ability to know how they think, then we don't really know what we're telling them. And most of the time when we take a look and we go, that was messed up, you didn't do what I asked. If you use your intuition, connect to the seventh plane, and take a look at what they heard and how they understand those vibrations, you know they're doing it perfectly. They just didn't hear it. We talk and we work at the very basic level quite regularly. We like it. At the very beginning, how to communicate and network people, classes, teams, one on one.
Coaching, athletes, young adults, whatever it is.
And the very, very first step is understanding yourself enough to know what it is that you're saying so that you can take a look outside to other people to know what it is that they're hearing. Most team building starts with a very simple question that needs to be asked after being given an instruction.
Did you understand what I said? And can you relay it back to me so that we know that we're communicating?
But it has to be said in such a way that it doesn't demean them because it can be a really rude statement.
Yes.
You know, what did I just say? Come on, everybody, repeat it back to me. I need to hear what did I just, no, that's not going to work. It's going to make you feel like, oh, am I on a test all of a sudden?
And how many people really like tests?
I didn't realize that I was being quizzed on the conversation we were just having. No, intuition, connection to who you are lets you know how to ask it differently or even know how they're already receiving it.
And every individual is different, so they need to hear it differently when asking.
And they give you clues, they give you energetic clues,
Yeah.
they give you all these things that you develop intuitively. Of course, we have other clues that are just visual clues. You can tell how somebody's receiving what you're saying by looking at them. Just a second to take a look what you're receiving, what you're saying. If you're saying something that's over their head, or they've never sent an email out in a healing business, but you brought them in because you're their best friend, they might need a little bit of guidance, might need a little bit more of a building block. And they might even be super afraid to ask because you're their best friend. They don't want to let you down. One of the cool things about Theta Healing and the cool things about what we do is we get to start to go up and understand from a place of unconditional love how everybody sees things, how everybody hears things, feels things. Then you can change a little bit of tone. There are certain moments and tones that can get things done. My mom can sit in front of webinars and classrooms and she can use her mom voice and everybody listens and thinks that that's very caring and compassionate. And I tried mimicking the mom voice once in class as myself. Like, all right, my mom uses her mom voice. I'm going to do the same thing. It did not go the same way. I'm not my mom. I have a different tone, a way different look, right? So when they heard it, they were like, why is he yelling at us? What did we do wrong? Oh, that didn't work. We tend to fill in the gaps. And if you're going to take and move forward on your step of abundance, you're using your intuition to see how people are filling in the gaps with what you have to say.
And filling in the gaps has a lot to do with all of the things that we've experienced in our lifetime and prior, all the things from our ancestors. So when we're looking at things in the situation, we go, well, where have we done this before? How have we experienced this before? And then we answer all the questions. If all the information's not there, we go, well, I've experienced this before, and it can either be positive or negative. Depends on the person.
Yeah, within that positivity, within that negativity, something so simple as will you do the dishes?
Could be so negative because you've experienced doing the dishes for a work experience that was loads and loads and loads and loads of dishes, and you're thinking, oh no, is the sink going to just be filled up with loads and loads and loads of dishes? But really, it was just two dishes that needed to be done. And you are so overwhelmed by the thought of having to do those dishes.
That two dishes became
Too
every memory
overwhelming.
of every time you've ever had to do them in your life.
And that's how we populate different types of scenarios with what we have going on in our own subconscious.
So when we start to delegate, the very first thing that we need to do is take a step back and look at the situation. And I'm gonna say what I believe is that we're actually kind of always delegating. Okay, we're always manifesting, we're always communicating, we're always creating. So we're always really delegating what we're creating with everything around us.
Because of our cellular communication, absolutely, we're always sending out things, whether it's positive or lower vibration, higher but lower, whatever it is, that's definitely what we're sending out.
Yeah. So right now, if it's late at night or early in the morning or whatever time it is, your body is communicating and saying what's going on. And if it's getting late at night, it's your body's saying, I don't know what you're listening to, but it's time for us to go to sleep. And you're coming back and saying, we're not going to sleep, we're staying awake.
Or if you're a night person and you really love staying up at night, maybe all of a sudden you got a boost of energy and you're good to go.
Everything around you you're using at the same time for that. You're using the molecules. So if you need a little more energy, and your body knows that you're getting tired, your muscles are getting tired, and you have to be able to breathe as much air as you can to have a chance to get where your goal is, it's probably going to make a little communication to a little tiny cell to another little tiny hormone area and say, hey, just a little boost of energy. Just poke those adrenals a little bit. That's delegating. That's your body saying, hey, this is what I need right now. Can you take care of it for me? And within your own cells, if you have a really good system, you know, okay, we're going to do this now. But you also know that sometimes we delegate things to force a certain situation, and then we have to deal with what we delegated, what we worked through. And we can't just go, oh, man, my foot. It never listens to me. Just dumb foot.
Or if your adrenals are constantly being tapped on all the time, you start to get tired, even if you're looking for it. Now you're into a different type of scenario where you're constantly in adrenal sapping and you're always wanting to go to sleep, even if you want to stay awake.
You're always kind of building to the next moments. And if you're building with people you're working with, if you're building with new friends, if you're building within your own body, the first question to ask is, how does everything win? How does everything come out in true abundance? So to me, that's the word win. It's just true abundance. Because I believe you can't lose. I don't think there's any such thing in this world as losing. I
Yeah,
think that that's a lower vibrational concept that gets introduced to just have some weird acceptance of difficulty.
I think you can just win, even if it isn't quite the way you want it to, because you're learning. You're going to learn and go on to the next moment.
So instead of calling it winning, we just call it moving forward with true abundance, right? What's the abundance in this moment? And is it abundance that works for me? And is it abundance that works for all the things around me? Because in every single moment of every single day, there's abundance for everything. And we get kind of brought into situations that we're going to be the most abundant in. So if you're ready for an abundance of anger, you get brought into a situation that's going to let you have an abundance of anger, which usually results in a lot of people who want to have an abundance of anger being around you at the same time. maximizing that moment. Hey, we all get to be angry together. You focus that anger towards whatever channel. A lot of people bond that way. They're still creating all together in true abundance. So you start to develop a trust with that seventh plane connection to come to a new moment and know, okay, this is what in my heart I feel I want to create. We'll go up and ask, how do I create this? But everyone else also gets to create with true abundance. Okay, we might be layering things like, oh, well, not everyone can be a success. Not everybody's communicating to be a success in that. Not everybody's really looking for it. Sometimes they're just looking for a path to figure out who they are.
And sometimes they're just looking to get by, hoping for acceptance.
My son came over last weekend. He'll come over again later tonight, and our
Mhm.
grandkids will be here. And I can say our son. I just say mine so that you know that it's the biological line. All the children are our children.
Yes, yes.
We have none biologically together, but we claim them
No,
all energetically together.
this is true.
I'd be very distinctive with my communication. He comes over last week and we started talking, and he started talking about specifically this time when he was really young. And he wanted to know because he's got young children, and his biggest struggle right now is seeing them for who they are, letting them kind of have the tools they need. And what they need is a structure and support.
Mhm.
And he asked how we did it. He's like, how do you do it? Like, I hear you talk. I know you talk now. I know you are not a mean person at all. You're not looking to battle. You're not looking to fight. And he said, yet anytime that you ever needed to, it was instantly, this is the line. Don't cross it. And I said, well, that was my role. And he stared at me. And I said, well, that's what you needed. And I took that role by having a title. And Raina took that role by accepting and having a discussion about how we wanted to help you be the best you. So there are moments and times when, if you're going to be a good parent, you got to be the stick in the mud. You got to be the thing that they can bounce off of that doesn't change, that they can count on.
And you sometimes have to trust the other person. In our situation, that's his son. So you have to be able to trust the other person to delegate all this stuff too. Like, okay, we had a communication. Here's where the line is. You get to do it.
What happened is he got in some trouble. He came to live with us. We got him out of all the trouble, and then we were awarded custody, and he was coming back, and he had a chance to go back to his mom's house. And when he came to us, we said, I think it's the wrong decision, but okay, it's your decision. And I explained why it was wrong. And on this other path, we'd forced him a whole bunch and been that stick and said, no, you can't do this. And then all of a sudden, we just said, well, it's your life. You can do whatever you want.
Sometimes that's the most powerful statement you can say to anybody. Well, it's your choice. You can do whatever you want.
So his struggle is right now, he's trying to tell his kids, it's your choice. You can do whatever you want when they need a little bit more structure, like when we were getting him out of trouble. So he asked me, why did you choose that? I had just gotten out of all trouble. And I said, well, because you were finally listening to figure out your own world. And he said, what? And I said, well, you were finally listening to everything that was going on around you. And then you were deciding, I have to figure out what environment is best for me. Before, you were just trying to mess up every environment you were in. You were just angry and mad, and you wanted punishment. And even when you were saying you were going to your mom's house, you were trying to get angry and punished towards us. I'm like, we don't, okay. You can't throw something energetically at somebody and force them to take it. They have to let it in, right? We talk about this. You can't throw a curse and be like, hey, it's yours no matter what. It doesn't work. bounces off. Can't throw a thought that says, "Oh, I hope you know how much I don't like you." Okay, bounces off. Intuitively, you can see it, it just has no energetic effect. There's a place, and it comes with all people as they grow and do things. You can't be attached to who they were, can't be attached to who they're going to be. You just know the interaction of the moment and what's in the highest and best of all the communications of everything for you and for them.
And sometimes when you're putting out into the universe, I need to find somebody that I can trust and delegate things to. And you find right away whether or not those people are you can rely on or that you can be trusting to them. And it's perfect and all of your timing.
I mean, how many times have you, I'm sure, gone through life and said, somebody said, I trust you. And then all of a sudden somebody said, I knew I couldn't trust you because there was a mistake somewhere or because something went on. Parents will say it. I trust you. I knew I shouldn't have trusted you. It's a double hit. Which one was it really? Did you trust me or did you not trust me? Because there was a mistake, it validated the fear that one might happen. Was it really a mistake? You always have a chance to grow in different moments. You always have a chance to move in different moments. You always have a chance to decide how you're communicating things. And the art of successfully delegating and understanding what you need in life is being able to sit down and say, I need this. All of you right now probably have things that you need in life that you're telling yourself aren't really needs. Okay. A hug, a little extra support, a little help doing something in your office, in your house, somewhere else. And when you look at it, you classify it and say, that's not really a need, that's something I want. I'll be imposing if I say something. So you don't say it.
Or you may feel like you're putting somebody out completely.
There's a big group conscious thing about wants and needs.
Mhm.
And we believe for some reason, if we really need something, we can have it. If we really want something, it's 50-50. And in some cultures, on a lot of levels on that group consciousness, wanting it is bad. There's something in that want that you need. If you're wanting more money, what you need is to not have to worry about making funny paper stuff all the time.
And perhaps the thing you're looking for is more time with your family or more time to be able to do things that you love.
Yeah. If you really need to play a video game and you play them 26 hours a day, even though there's only 24 hours in a day, amazing. There's a reason. Your brain needs it. Your brain needs the activity, it needs the focus, needs the problem solving. It needs an environment that it feels like it's in control, that it can create.
And perhaps dopamine is something that's low. Serotonin, oxytocin, all those things were released when playing video games.
What we often don't understand, we don't develop our intuition to see is why people need things the way that they need them, because we don't. In our world, we have a lot of problems from people thinking that just one way solves everything. I didn't need it, so there's no way that you need it. That's not a thing.
We all have our own individual needs, desires, and wants. We're all unique.
I mean, if you're going to inspire the world, you're going to go tell them about the things that you created and the things that you decided at some point you needed in your life to connect to the universe and make happen. And they're asking you, how do you fulfill that without causing destruction or without it being so difficult of a process that it overwhelms me entirely and you give up? And people come in and sit down and say, I need to be better, and then don't get better. Why? You're only moving a few molecules here or there. Just a little shift. Because they have decided that maybe it's not a need, maybe it's a want. Their will is belonging to something else, and they turn their life over to what their ancestors have done before them, turn their life over to group consciousness, and turn their life over instead of stepping into all the understanding of how to be here, be present, and be themselves. I think of one task in your life that you could trust somebody with and communicate them to, an important one, not something easy that you already do.
We're not talking about the dishes.
If you already do it, it doesn't count for this exercise. Think about one task that you could use a little bit of help in.
That you've been wanting to, you thought about it already. That one.
Now, once you've thought about that task, I want you to let's go take a look at something. We're going to go forward and we're going to take a look at you finding and asking somebody to take a look at this task. Okay. Go ahead and close your eyes. Unless you're driving, but it looks like most people are parked. Gather the energy up, bring it up from the bottoms of your feet, up above your space. See yourself in a ball of light. Once you're in that ball of light, you're going to go up through the sky, through the universe, through layers of white light and dark light, through layers of golden light, through the gray jelly-like substance, all the way up to the tingly white light. Once you're in that tingly white light, you're going to ask to remember your future, to see what happens last time that you choose to reach out and communicate this need and have help, or delegate, whichever word you want to say. Okay. Then you're going to come down and you're going to see you taking this task and communicating your need to somebody else. As you see that, first, who is it? Is it somebody new or somebody in your life? Second, how do you feel? Are you comfortable? Are you nervous?
And once you did, were you able to relay what you wanted to say to that person clearly? Did they understand?
Just check out how you're feeling through all that. And then go forward and see them doing the task. Is it done the way that you communicated and in a way that's happy? Or do you have a giant urge to just do it yourself?
Or redo it?
Are you going to redo it instead of showing them what you really meant? And how many times do you have to redo it to show them what you really meant? If you see them not having a problem, then move on to another one that you can include a new person with. Once you finish taking a look at some of these things, go back up to that tingly white light and open your eyes. All right, so what we just did is took a look at remembering our future. And it's what we do every morning. And it's what you can do with every task in your life. It gets faster the more you practice it, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Not nearly as long as it takes for us to speak it through, but it can take longer, especially when you're first starting. The reason we took a look at how we're feeling first and then what happened is because that means our cells are already wiring, communicating, and creating that moment that way. Which means when you go up and think about communicating your need and having it met, your supercomputer will either go and communicate it and try to create it that way or avoid it because it doesn't like the outcome. Supercomputer being you, your brain, your connection to your spiritual self, everything that's going on. You're the greatest, most perfect processing information and creation energy there's ever been. And you're processing already knowing, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? And you'll avoid it. Sometimes we're consciously aware of it because we're like, I don't want to do this again. And we've already done it 18 times. I'm not doing it again. A lot of times it was running things in the background and avoiding things that don't have to be that way.
But recognizing the different feelings that you have gives you indications and clues as to what's going on in the background. If you had some sort of anxiety, just even asking, or some sort of other emotion that you didn't enjoy, that gives you an indication as to where you can start looking into your subconscious and choose to change it if you like to.
As we develop that ability and we're able to see and kind of connect to ourselves, we can see the way that we view, the way that we feel, the way that we understand our world. And then we can start to see that way others do too. All of theta healing, all of algorithm of you, all of everything that we do, all of it boils down into simple understanding of ourself first. Each level, understand yourself. Know how you work so that you know how to communicate yourself and see how you're communicating with the world around you to create. The next level, the delegation level, that's being a teacher. That's taking the opportunity to know all that you create and how it affects everybody around you and how it affects everything around you. You know, right now you already kind of communicated and delegated to us a little bit of what you want to be seen as. With your name, with a number, with a picture, whatever it is, you're communicating in the moment. This is what I would like to be seen. This is what I'm okay with being seen, or this is what I would like to not be seen at all. You're always in that set of communication. You're always in a role to influence and change things. Every person is. You have been your whole life guiding people. There's a person at the grocery store that you've influenced by walking through a grocery store or a convenience store. It's a guarantee. Somebody has looked at you and thought, wow, they have something that's very cool. I want that in my life. Because you communicated that something in that moment, in that day. That's the next level. That's teaching all these things, which you do all the time. It's part of your creation. Inspiring with the everything that you are. So, a couple downloads real quick. Can we download that you know how to be that inspiration, to know how to stay true to yourself and communicate yourself truly without extra conflict or anger or frustration in your life?
And that as you do and you are authentic to you, that you can trust your connection to Creator and that you can feel that you are your own true self in every moment, walking through your life as it's yours. If you like those downloads, say yes. Raise your hand, nod your head, whatever it is you like to do.
Shoulder shimmy?
Sure. Shoulder shimmies are fun too. Those are always enjoyable. Thank you, interpreters, for shoulder shimmies.
That was phenomenal, interpreter shoulder shimmy.
And thank you, interpreters, for being with us today. We appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Yes. Evening.
Evening.
Yes.
Nighttime, tomorrow, whatever. Next day, next week, next month until we see you again.
Yes, absolutely. We will see you guys.
Thank you, Josh and Raina.
Thank you.
We will see you in Japan.
Yes.
Be there.
はい、そしてジョシュとレイナが日本に来てくださいますので、楽しみにしておいてください。Okay, so let's take a picture.